fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going with the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top here.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God!
God, what?
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the iRacing Esports Network, proudly presented by SimSpeed TV this evening. My name's Zach Hanlon. Joining me in the commentary booth tonight is Cameron Dance, and on the TV switches, Mr. J. Kennedy. We're here this evening to bring you round number 10 of the Aussie Driver Search iRacing V8 Supercars official series here at Road Atlanta, where we are going to be having 29 full throttle laps, no pit stops, and it's going to be a very interesting race. We have some absolutely astounding talent here this evening, and it is going to be a very close race indeed. And Cam, we've got some really big names in this championship here, and the championship battle at the moment is looking incredibly tight.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some really, really big names out here tonight, and the standings show it all. This is an absolutely unbelievably close championship at the moment. I mean, 14 points separating first to third. That's crazy. And then you've got 29 points back to fourth, and then you're back to Jack Boyd in fifth, who's 49 points behind. And then you go back to Brett Cananzi, Dane Warren, and Corey Preston around at the field. And the other thing is Dane Warren hasn't done 8 weeks so far. So it's absolutely nuts as to how this championship can possibly end up.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So Kyle Stokes at the moment only has a really narrow margin. And as you said, Dane Warren has only done so many rounds, and we know that he's fast in these V8 supercars. He's a two-time champion. Another man who's a two-time champion that we're looking at on screen, Sam Blacklock, looking to put down his first lap, coming down through the S's, the car looking very aggressive over those curbs. And this is a track where typically in most racing series, Cam, we see a high rate of attrition. This is one of those tracks that's just, it's one of those old school tracks where any part of it can bite you so heavily. Do you think we'll be seeing quite a bit of attrition tonight?
It's hard to say. I mean, looking at the previous races this week so far around this track, it seems to have been reasonably clean, but I mean, we've seen in the past so far this season in the Supercar series that it's been unpredictable, and you really can't count anybody out. So we may see Carnage, we may not, but we'll just have to wait and see. And should Carnage ensue, hopefully we don't have any championship contenders taken out.
Yeah, absolutely. At the top of the order at the moment, looking very interesting, Michael Cracknell. Cracker's up into second position at the moment. That's a fantastic effort from him. Make that third, because Mr. Sam Blacklock has just scraped himself into first position. His teammate Dane Warren just coming over the line now. Will he be able to topple that time? He will, but it doesn't look like that time has oh no, it has. So he's now gone through, but Ian Ford has put in a better lap. Also, he's up into second place. So the time's tumbling here at Road Atlanta. Seems even the second lap is going to be good. So Dane and Sam still have a chance to improve further. Another man who's been very prominent in this series, Brett Loxton, coming across the line now in that KRF machine, looking very aggressive in the last part of that lap. Only does a 120.6, which is good for 7th, but he's been in this mix for this championship for quite a long time, and points are good anywhere. But at the top of this field at the moment, Dane Warren, Ian Ford, Sam Blacklock, Brett Loxton, Michael Cracknell and Cooper Webster. Then we have Brady Myers and championship leader Carl Stokes sitting down in 8th position. So a couple of people who still need to improve, but very tight at the top of this timesheet, Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. There's basically a second from pretty much second all the way down to about 20th. So that's the entire field, well, top 20 nearly covered by an entire second. So it's extremely close. I mean, probably as close as you'll find in Scops, but yeah, it's just unbelievable how close this field is at the moment. And it's of no surprise we're seeing different names in the field tonight, such as Ian Ford, John Emerson, Michael Cracknell and that sort of stuff, because you'll find that teammates will be helping each other try and get points and higher race strength of field. So it's really mixed this up, and we're going to be in for a really good race tonight.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, but qualifying has now ended, and we have our results up for you on screen. Dane Warren in the Logitech G Altus Esports car will take pole alongside Ian Ford for Evolution Racing Team. Sam Blacklock, also driving for Logitech G Altus Esports, will start from 3rd. Brett Loxton in the KRF machine will start from 4th position. Michael Cracknell also for KRF in 5th. Cooper Webster for Evolution Racing Team in 6th. So 3 teams taking out the top 6 spots in this field. And then Carl Stokes back in 8th for ERT as well, with Brady Myers snuck in there in the TTL Esports machine for 7th position. Then in 8th, we have, as I said, Carl Stokes, John Emerson in 9th, and Ethan Warren will round out the top 10.
And 11th and 12th, just behind Ethan Warren, will be Jack Borden, Marlon McMullen, 13th and 14th, Corey Preston and Andrew Gillum, Greg Sharp and Chris Cox in 15th and 16th, 17th, 18th, Michael Taliancic and Mitchell McLeod, and then rounding out the top 20 will be Zach Baker and Andrew Zach.
And to finish out our field here this evening with a massive strength of field of 4,148, Ryan Borg, 21st, Thomas Hins, good to see him back in 22nd position, Ernesto Romero in 23rd, Jackson Suslin-Harlow, he's going to have a big battle on his hands, 24th, we know he's quick in one of these V8 supercars, and Mario Vlasic, another man who's not afraid to dance around in these things. He'll be coming through the field. Dane Warren at the front of the field, though, looking towards turn number 1 as the revs rise here at Road Atlanta. There's the false start in the back, but a good start from both the Logitech G Altus Esports cars up the front there, and it looks like Dane Warren's just going to be able to hold it into turn number 1. Ian Ford with a good challenge around the outside, just not quite able to get in there though. That's Cooper Webster we're looking at as they come up the hills. Quite a few cars going by side as they come through this very tight little right-hand kink here. You don't want to get caught up on this part of the track because a blind incident there can be catastrophic. Everyone doing a great job. There's a guy nearly spun around. Oh my goodness. Corey Preston, amazing car control to keep that all together. That was a huge moment coming down through the S's, but he's got Michael Taliancic scooting up behind him there, and Mitchell McLeod is also dancing in the background there, looking to make a couple of moves. Going to go up the inside of Taliancic, actually, and maybe just try and go around the outside with Taliancic to keep it there. Jackson Suslin-Harlow already up 6 positions on this first lap, and I think that was John Emerson off the line who got a false start there, so let's see what happens all out of that. But Dane Warren does have the lead of this race towards the end of this first lap. That's a good move there from Brady Myers, who moves himself past Michael Cracknell, who's just lost a couple of positions in the opening portion of this race. So very crazy little first lap there. We'll get a CPR Cup Parts replay of Corey Preston here. So hung out to dry. Oh, maybe didn't quite see if there was a little bit of contact there. My goodness, Corey, that was incredible. That's such a difficult part of the track, especially with the camber of that corner as well. Recovering a spin from there is near on impossible, but Corey Preston just going to show that you can sometimes defy the laws of physics and he's just kept it all on the track there. But great start from all of our competitors here, with the exception of John Emerson, who had a false start there, and looks like already possibly, I don't know if that was a bit of traffic I was seeing a bit down the road, but nonetheless, Dane Warren looking down the track, and it is John Emerson who is traveling at just ahead of the leading pack here, so we'll see if he gets out of the way. Ian Ford already showing a little bit of intention to get on with it and go for the race lead here. He's going to go around the outside. Dane Warren not leaving him a lot of room. Bit of a lock up there from Ian Ford as he has to try and muscle his way around the outside line through that corner, and not able to get it done. He's going to lose a bit of ground to that Altus Esports machine. Meanwhile, Sam Blacklock now coming under a little bit of pressure from Brett Loxton.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a very, very late move by Ian Ford there to try and get the move done. Had a bit of a lock-up, and that's probably going to hurt him later in the races. There's no pit stop in this race tonight, so saving your tyres is going to be really, really key to doing well, as Loxton's really trying to get all over the back end of Sam Blacklock, but he just can't quite get it done.
Yeah, and I actually did go out and do a couple of practice laps around here in a V8 just yesterday, and coming down through that SS section, once your tyres wear out, it's incredibly difficult to keep that car balanced through that corner. Just on board now with Sam Blacklock looking towards Brett Loxton in the KRF Motorsports machine. He's got Cooper Webster hunting him down, as well as Ethan Warren in another Altus Esports machine, coming under a little bit of pressure from another Zuva-sponsored entry, and that's Michael Cracknell, who's actually just lost a position to young Ethan there. So Ethan Warren making his way up through this field, and Michael Cracknell now going to come under a little bit of pressure from championship leader Kyle Stokes, who's been putting in some very solid performances this season so far. Unfortunately had a bit of a tangle up last week at Snetterton and wasn't able to come away with the best result, but charging on nonetheless. Sam Blacklock's been able to just pull in a little bit of this gap to Ian Ford up ahead of him, and John Emerson now oh my goodness! And John Emerson has not done a particularly good job at all of getting out of the way there of Ian Ford. That's lost him his bonnet, and it's also lost him second position, and that is not going to help him for the rest of the race. We are very early in the running of this event, and that is not going to help Mr. Ford at all. So we'll get an onboard just so we can see an idea of what Ian was, the altercation that happened here. Ian coming up, moving it, and oh my gosh, that is just not how you get out of the way. And for Ian Ford, that is a very unfortunate tragedy. So we'll hope for his sake that his damage is not too bad, but he's already under pressure now from Brett Loxton in the KRF machine, and you can see the amount of overspeed that he has there. He's just slingshotted by, and he might even have to let his teammate and Cooper Webster through as well. So that is tragic for Ian Ford. He was looking extremely strong in the opening portion of this race, and he's now just hemorrhaging positions around him.
Yeah, that damage is costing him hugely, and at this rate, Brady Myers is going to get him very shortly, and then might even have the likes of Ethan Warren and those others behind Myers catch up and eventually pass him. So he's really, really going to struggle with that damage, and hopefully he doesn't lose too many more positions. Otherwise, it'll just be a sitting duck to the rest of the field.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a sitting duck for quite a long time, and he's not going to have the opportunity to pit for any of that damage either. And if he does, it's just going to be an absolute, yeah, it's just pretty much giving up any hope of a decent result in this race, unfortunately, for Ian Ford. But he's a strong-willed man, and he'll press on and make the most of what he's got. I know that for sure. Just having a look now at Jackson Suslan Harlow, who since the beginning of this race has not been able to make as much progress as I expected. However, with a 4100 strength of field race this evening, I guess that's not entirely surprising. He's got Mitchell McLeod and Michael Taliancic up ahead of him, and we're just seeing now going back up to Ian Ford there, and he's just giving up the spot, and Ethan Warren might even just, oh, there's going to be a touch there, and Ian Ford is going to just hold on. Surely not. He manages just to keep it all together, but it's one to forget for Ian Ford. He's now all the way down past Corey Preston in 14th position, and he's lost 12 positions in just the last lap and a half, it would seem. So we just see here, looks like there's a lot of overspeed difference there, and perhaps just caught out Ethan Warren a little bit. And it does have to be said that Ian didn't look like he wanted to give that up very easily. But unfortunate incident for both of them there. And it's definitely going to be a night to forget for Ian Ford. That can definitely be said. He's now got that train that we were just looking at before of Talyancic, and Greg being headed by Greg Sharp. There's Mitchell McLeod in there and Jackson Suslin-Harlow just behind. So this could be a good opportunity for Suslin-Harlow to make a bit of ground. He's been stuck within this pack for quite a while, and you'd expect him to have a little bit more speed. Maybe now just that little bit of banking up here from Ian Ford, because we're presuming that he's going to be very slow here down the straight line. This might just open up a few opportunities for Suslin-Harlow to get himself past a couple of cars. Meanwhile, Kyle Stokes further up the field under attack from Michael Cracknell, a former ERT man. He's not going to be too disappointed to put one on his old team. He's got some nice traction coming out of the penultimate corner there, but unfortunately just not enough. And McMullen's going to come down the inside. That's a very opportunistic and fantastic move from the CMR driver, who's going to have to fight it into turn one, but Michael Cracknell backs out of it early. Maybe he's going to try and carry momentum up the hill, but there's just a train of cars coming through now. I think that's, oh my goodness, Gilliam also getting through there, and that's also Duckworth, or Jack Boyd also trying to make something work in his Golden Road Motorsports machine. So unfortunate there for Crackers. He's another man just starting to fall his way down through this field, but he's got some very hungry cars behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. That was just unbelievable with that move by McMullen. It was very, very late, but he managed to get the job done, and then as a result of that, it just checked that whole group up, and Cracknell lost out big time. So they have a bit of work to do to try and get back up to those positions he's lost. But yeah, really unfortunate for Cracknell, as he's now coming under attack from the likes of Boyd, Coxhead and Preston.
Yeah, he sure is. And just having a look back there, Suslin-Harlow coming under pressure, but Mitchell McLeod sails past Ian Ford in that damaged team machine. He's going to have to watch out because he might just get caught up in this. And as I said, Suslin-Harlow using a little bit of a check-up there to his advantage, and he puts a move on Zach Baker, and he's been fighting to get past that car for quite a long time, so progress has been made now. And he's, in fact, I'm actually not sure that I'm telling the truth, because I think Zach Baker might have actually gotten past him, and he's just retaken that position because he was in 8 previously, and it's going to be another touch for Ian Ford, and he's going to have to try and save the car once again. Ian, mate, it's very tough. Oh my goodness, a little bit of a touch again. Oh, he's just not having a good one. I think Ian Ford might be the first person to hit the incident limit tonight, and if he's not, that would sure be a surprise. Meanwhile, up the front of the field for the final spot on the podium, Cooper Webster is looking to get on, and with getting past Brett Loxton in that KRF machine, and Brady Myers is just tucked up in there as well. So he's looking for a way past. Sam Blacklock is chasing down Dane Warren at the front as well, but it looks like Cooper Webster's going to go for the move now onto Brett Loxton into number 10, and he's got the car in a good position there. He's going to have to fight it. Oh, around the outside. A little bit of a bump. Oh, he's lost it. So that's terrible. He's going to have to go. Oh, two LT cars having a big moment into turn number 10 and 11 there, and Kyle Stokes is going to lose out big time. He's going to lose, surely about 4 positions out of that, and Cooper Webster's lost over 13 spots from that one transaction, so that is tragic. He was doing very well there, and hard to note, did he turn in just, it's hard to say from that angle whether he just came a bit far across there or not, having to spin to the inside, and yeah, it looks like he might have just started the turn in a little bit early there. He's caught the rear of the car, and that sent him off on the grass, and it looks like Kyle Stokes has maybe just lost that on his own in the mid corner, losing some rear traction there. So two very unfortunate incidents there for ERT machines, and they've now got a little bit of work to do, and Kyle Stokes is our championship leader, let's not forget, so that's very critical with the championship being so close at the top. Jackson Suslin-Harlow going for another move on Zach Baker. who's made his way past once again. They're going to drag race it, but Suslan Hollow is going to lose out early. That means, though, he can tuck back in on the draft, and he might be able to do something at the end of the straight section. He's got Thomas Hinds in that sim racing machine just behind him. Great livery on that car with the purple and blue stripes running down, and it's going to be pretty dicey here. There's 2x2 and 2x2 behind Hinsey as well. And there's big contact there for Jackson Suslan Harlow, and turn 10 is taking a few victims tonight, Cam.
It's not leaving anyone to give. It's just been contact left, right, and centre every lap just about. Really, really unfortunate, but with how close the field is and with how hard the racing's been, it's been of no surprise at all.
Yeah, and we're just looking as well. Zach Baker's actually just lost ground after having that battle there with Suslan Harlow, so we'll see if we can find out what happened to him, but he was just moved up into 17th position, now sitting in 22nd, so he's lost 5 spots. And when it rains, it pours here at Road Atlanta, because as we've seen, most cars don't just lose 1 position, because look at these 2 trains we have here. You're losing about 4 spots if you have any altercation whatsoever, and if you're at the front of that first train, you could even lose up to 10. I mean, we've got cars in groups of 5 or 6 here at Road Atlanta, all picking up in that slipstream. And unfortunately, the man who's not enjoying any form of slipstream at all is Ian Ford, as he has just been absolutely lost throughout this field. And Andrew Gilliam's also just worked his way past Mullen McMullen. So Andrew Gilliam has either a very poor qualifying setup or an excellent race setup, because he has marched his way 8 positions through this field so far, and has moved himself up into 6th, so knocking on the door of a top 5. He's got to catch down Ethan Warren, who's 5 seconds up the field, but the lap times, well, the lap times don't indicate he'll be able to do it at the moment, but if he gets his head down, might not be off the cards. Just having a look now at Jack Boyd, who's applying a little bit of pressure to the back of Michael Cracknell, who's seen a lot of pressure this evening, and he's actually made up a couple of spots in the last few laps, up into 8th position once again. But Jack Boyd in that Gone Rogue Motorsports machine is looking very menacing, looking very controlled. Nice planting of the traction as they came out of that very slow section there, but all those cars got a great exit. Just having a look now at Brett Loxton and Brady Myers, because Brady's going to go around the outside, and Brett Loxton is going to leave just enough room on the inside. A little bit of a touch once again, but we wouldn't be surprised in this race. But he's going to make it work. Both of these guys are, and Brett Loxton will have to lose that position, as looks like Ethan Warren in the other Logitech Altus Esports machine is just starting to sneak up on these guys as well, so they won't want to battle too hard. Looks like Brett Loxton's not entirely ready to give up that position just yet.
He's definitely trying his best to make a move on Brady at some point. It's really, really close between these two. It's hard to tell who's actually going to come out on top, but like you said, if they're not careful, Ethan Warren's going to come into this and make it a 3-car fight for the podium.
Absolutely, and just having a look a little bit further back in the field as well, Mitchell McLeod and Cooper Webster are getting very close and looking to battle each other once again. These guys have seen each other on track a couple of times before and put on some good racing. They've got Greg Sharp just up ahead of them, who might get in the way a little bit, but Mitchell hasn't had a lot of pace this race, and Cooper Webster's going to be looking for a way past, and Brett Loxton once again looking to reclaim that position, just manages to pull it up, but that's going to hurt him through this second part of the corner. And Ethan Warren now here just keeping nice and composed and slowly hunting his way up onto the rear bumper of Brett Loxton. He'll be looking for any mistake now. He's in striking distance and closing, so any mistake here from Brett Loxton is going to be really critical to his race, because Ethan Warren's been on a charge. He's had a bit of clean air for a little bit of a while, and he's looking to make a move in the next few laps, but he's not quite close enough yet, and he's going to have to wait for Mr. Loxton to make a mistake. But we have seen, obviously, Brady just get through very recently, so very possible both those cars just looking very unsettled. Such a difficult part of the track here. You take the curb just in the veriest wrong way, in the most minor of wrong ways, it can just shoot you off in any which direction. Ian Ford getting very involved through the back of this field. Is that Suzlin Harlow just behind him? It is. And he's looking very aggressive to get past Ian Ford, who's just going to have to give it up. And the way that Suzlin Harlow is fighting there, it might just be the thing to do. He's not going to make it easy though, as Ian Ford. He's going to come out, he's going to have a race. He can't come away with a good position. At least he can come away with a good time. And Ethan Warren has gone for a little bit of an attack there on Brett Loxton, but not able to make anything work as of yet. Zach Baker now trying to get past Suzlin Harlow once again. These guys have been having a good little battle throughout this race, but they find themselves further back in the field having that battle. And Mitchell McLeod makes his way past Greg Sharp. Brilliant move there. Cooper Webster's going to go by as well. Take advantage of that opportunity and get one out of the way quickly. He wants to get as many of these positions back as he can. He's down 9 from his starting position, and he's down for 12 from where he was previously in this race, and that's a big contact there for Zach Baker. I think that was Andrew Zackerson who might have been involved in that as well. The car who was involved pulling to the outside there was Andrew Zackerson in the Redback Racing Machine, and he has noted that was not the right thing to do, and he has given back that position. So good sportsmanship there from the Redback Racing Team driver. But Brett Loxton now is under increasing pressure, even getting a little bit of a bump draft down the back straight here. Cam, how does that work out in a GT3 car? Let's not talk about that now, because we've got V8s coming down here now, and it looks like Ethan's going to have to hold it tough around the outside. He's got the inside for the second part of the corner. If he can keep the traction down, he'll have the inside for the right-hander, but he's just missed out. Some good exit speed from Brett Loxton means that he can remain in position number 4 for the time being.
Yeah, absolutely. That corner's a really interesting one, because that outside line is actually a lot smoother than the inside. There's a big bump on the inside, so getting the traction down is actually a lot harder. It's a lot easier to hold it around the outside than it is the inside, but it's, yeah, really close at the front at the moment between these two. And any lap now, it's going to be Ethan Warren who's going to move into 4th position and hunt down Brady Myers.
Yeah, it looks inevitable, doesn't it? And we're now halfway through this race, so it's pretty evident that Ethan's got some good speed in that car. Now, of course, there is another full half of this race to go, and both of these cars, the direction of the setup or the changes that they make from here on outwards could significantly improve or make them or make the cars not quite as good. But it does seem at the moment that Ethan has the upper hand. Andrew Gilliam, though, has been catching these guys as Ethan now goes to the outside once again. He's got a little more this time, but Brett Loxton's going to lock up a little bit. He's carried it a little bit too deep into the corner there, and Ethan Warren gets past. So now he will try and hunt down Brady Myers. He's got a bit of a job to do. Just under 3 seconds is the gap. And Andrew Gilliam, as we said, he's a man who has won the last 2 races, and he has got some good pace in that car. So Brett Loxton is going to have to be on the edge of his V8 Supercar racing seat for the time being, because Andrew's also dragging that pack up with him, and the cars that are behind him are not slow at all. As we unfortunately see there Ian Ford in the pits. Don't know if he'll be coming back out, but either way, I'm sure he'll be getting that car repaired. Corey Preston's been plugging away throughout this race. He's up 3 spots into the top 10 now, and he's at the end, or nearly at the end, of this fairly long train that's headed by Gilliam here, that's catching that pair of Loxton and Ethan Warren up ahead.
Yeah, he's actually had some really good pace. Preston has. He's actually pretty much the 6th fastest car on track at the moment, so he's doing the pace of what the likes of Webster and Warren and Blacklock and that are doing. So he's not doing too bad for himself, but at the moment he just needs to try and find a way past the likes of Boyd, Cracknell and McMillan, and also Gilliam, and then find his way into clean air basically, and he'll be pretty much on his way to possibly even catching the likes of Oxon and Warren.
Yeah, well, he's got a couple of cars that he needs to get past, and I've just noticed as well that Kyle Stokes has relinquished a position to Cooper Webster, actually. So Michael Taliancic is just up ahead of him. He'll be looking to make way by. Mitchell McLeod is on the back of Kyle Stokes, as we were just talking about him. And Mitchell is a very keen racer, and he doesn't mind getting his elbows out or trying to push himself through and be very aggressive. And Kyle Stokes has had a fairly unfortunate race so far, so he will not want to give up any more positions, but it's going to have to be the case because he's had a bit of a problem trying to get the traction down through that very difficult left-hander. And that position has gone to Mitchell McLeod. He's going to go for an overrunner, though. Is Kyle Stokes not quite able to get that overlap and get back in under Mitchell McLeod? So that's a position to McLeod, who was ahead of Cooper Webster just earlier. So Cooper Webster made his way past both of those cars, and now trying to move his way up to Taliancic. Jack Boyd just chasing down Michael Cracknell now, who's just lost a little bit of pace and has fallen off the train of Marlon McMullen and Andrew Gilliam. Andrew Gilliam's already caught up to Brett Loxton. Don't know how that's happened so fast, but he's already pretty much at the back of that car, and he's pulled McMullen up also. So those guys have been pushing really hard, and perhaps Brett Loxton suffering a little bit of damage from that incident that he had before with Ethan Warren, but he was 0.7 of a second slower last lap, which is a pretty considerable disadvantage there. So we'll have to see if his future lap times reflect the similar deficit, and see if we can make a judgment off that. But that does not change the fact that Andrew Gilliam is really putting down some good laps right now. They are very fast, still a bit off the they're actually within 0.2 of the leader, Dane Warren, at the moment, so he's definitely traveling along, and Marlon McMullen is also matching those times.
Yeah, looks like Loxton's carrying a little bit of front fender damage on that right-hand side, so that'll be hurting him in a straight line, but he may have also used his tyres up a bit more than the likes of Gilliam and McMullen as well, having done a lot of fighting with Warren and the likes of Myers as well in pretty much the majority of the race. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens and whether he's actually got any rubber left compared to the likes of McMullen and Gilliam, who are not too far behind and once again are several tenths quicker than him.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see in the next lap or so what does happen, because it's being pulled in quite considerably. Corey Preston is looking to get past Jack Boyd at the moment. I was saying before that Corey's been doing a good job to make his way through this field, and he's looking very quick, and he's probably being held up a little bit by that machine ahead of him, but it's so critical. You really have to rely on a bit of a mistake unless you do get a really good run out of the sharp right-hander and onto the back straight there. So we have a look on board backwards with Jack Boyd there, looking at Corey Preston. Just runs a bit wide at the apex there, very close under brakes, so this is where it's really critical for Corey Preston to get the power down nicely, and he doesn't do a bad job. Oh, that's Cooper Webster and Michael Taliancic coming together, and that is not how you exit turn number 9, and we will get a CPR Kart Parts replay for you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go back to live action because we have just seen something there as well afterwards, but Cooper Webster going down the inside of Taliancic here, and possibly a little bit of contact on the exit on the rear quarter panel, so hard to see from that angle who was where on the road, but those two cars have come together, and that's very unfortunate. We're just looking now at Gilliam and Loxton on that same replay, because Gilliam has now made the pass on Loxton after catching him extremely rapidly, and even having to give up that position as well to Marlon McMullen. So Brett Loxton is now down in 7th position, and possibly, I would say, suffering a little bit of damage from earlier in the race.
Yeah, he's starting to drop off a bit, and he should have Michael Cracknell on him in a few laps time, possibly, and he may even fall back into the little pack that is consisting of Boyd, Coxon and Preston. So we'll see what happens, but Yeah, it's been a really, really dramatic race, and also just want to point out that Warren's actually been doing some really, really good times compared to Myers, so might want to just keep an eye on that because could see that gap possibly close up in the next few laps.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Ethan Warren's been in some really good form recently, and I want to just go to our leader quickly, Dane Warren, because he's been doing a fantastic job leading his teammate Sam Blacklock at the moment, as we're just having a look actually at Chris Coxhead in the Zuva Racing Machine going past Corey Preston, and Corey just rubbing the bumper, coming back across the track, gonna fight it down into turn one. Once again, Coxhead goes to turn in, a little bit hesitant there, keeps it on the mid track, and both of those guys very cautious through turn number one. A very difficult corner, bit of a lock up there though from Coxhead as he came into that blind right hand, a very difficult corner, and just ran wide at the apex. That slowed him up through the S's section, so Corey Preston might be able to get a little bit of a move done in the next little while. Just up ahead of them as well, KRF Machines, Linus Stern, Brett Loxton and Michael Cracknell, who started a few positions. In fact, they started almost side by side on the grid, and they've ended up there once again in the race. Brett Loxton still leads Michael Cracknell, of course, and they've got the Gone Rogue Motorsports machine just behind them. But I did just want to touch on Dane Warren because what a lot of people may not know is that Dane Warren is actually going to be sitting behind the wheel of a Formula 4 car tomorrow at Winton. And it's no surprise that he is in the zone right now, because I imagine that he is very much in practice and looking forward to that opportunity, which he got from winning the Virtual Racing Showdown event at PAX. So great to see a sim racer getting some time in a real-life racing as well. And speaking of going from sim to real-life racing, the Aussie Driver Search, it's been such a fantastic partnership with the iRacing V8 Supercars official series. You can actually win. The winner of this championship will actually be driving in a Toyota 86 racing car, and I think they also get to drive the BMW 130i. They get basically free entry into the amateur comp for the Aussie Driver Search at their local track, and it is an absolutely amazing experience, as that's Jack Boyd very late and just manages to keep it all together after he's trying to get through there, and he's it's not worked out for him at all. Very, very lucky that there was no contact there, and lucky that he was actually able to pull it up full stop. Corey Preston might have a little bit of a look now, as Corey's gotten past Chris Coxhead in that last little while as well. Just having a look as these guys come down into the chicane. Very defensive there from Boyd, as Corey Preston goes for a little bit of an over-under. Might even try and push Boyd as they come down the hill as well. That's not a very good decision, I would say. Car gets very light in that particular section of the track, and rear stability is extremely poor at its best. Cutting across the track, very defensive, is Jack Boyd, just cutting the nose there of Corey Preston as he was showing intention to go down the inside. These guys go backline astern, but some very aggressive racing in the lower half of this top 10 here.
Yeah, absolutely. That little battle pack between the likes of Boyd, Preston, Coxhead, and going to be McLeod shortly, but that battle has been going on for what is effectively 23 laps now, so it's of no surprise these guys are racing as hard as they can to try and make up positions and gain time with the cars ahead.
Yeah, and a little bit of a mistake there from Boyd, locked up and ran wide on the apex, and that's going to give Corey Preston a good opportunity here to make something work. He's going to want a few extra ponies out under the bonnet of that Ford Falcon there. He's going to pull to the inside for this corner, but it's the outside for the chicane, but it means he will have the inside for the next two corners as well. A little bit wiggly under brakes for both of them, and unfortunately Corey Preston just didn't quite get up close enough, and Coxhead's going to try to go around the outside. And as you said before, Cam, you can hold good traction around here, so wouldn't be surprised to see something in turn one here from him as well with that good momentum, but just couldn't quite get there at the end of the day. And Mitchell McLeod also having a little bit of a look around at Peak to see if he can make any opportunities worth his while as these guys are battling up ahead of him, and Mitchell McLeod's been doing a great job. He's up 6 positions, but a lot of these guys are up quite a few positions. Coxhead's up 5, Preston's up 2, and Boyd is up 2 as well. In fact, Preston's up 3, pardon me. So he wants to go a little bit better than that. And these guys are putting on a pretty good show at the moment. But I feel that there's a little bit of a storm brewing here, and some of these guys are getting a little bit impatient.
Yeah, I think there's possibly going to be something happen here in a lap or two. If it doesn't, it'll be all on the last lap, and we could even see Taliancic coming back into this little fight shortly. So who knows what'll happen? We'll have to wait and see, but this battle pack is definitely showing no mercy, that's for sure.
It is absolutely not. And if you also think that these guys are showing no mercy this evening, make sure you chuck a like on this video, and also subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network, and also head over to SimSpeed TV and chuck us one over there as well. It would be greatly appreciated. And you get to see plenty more fantastic content like these guys, as we'll see some great camera angles there of all these cars coming down into turn number 1. Such a beautiful track here at Road Atlanta. Definitely on my list of courses that I would like to go and visit before my time on this earth comes to an end. And it's great to see these V8 supercars, a vehicle that we would not typically see bashing around this old school American circuit, because obviously we're all the way over here in Australia, and McMullen's going round the outside on Andrew Gilliam for 5th position now, and they're going to have a bit of a drag race. And this is something that these guys will never do in real life. And it's going to be very, very close between these guys as they come down. McMullen using a little bit of a side draft here, and he's going to just get a little bit of more momentum towards the end, but just has to pull out into that braking zone. Andrew Gilliam very committed. He's even gone a little bit deep with a lockup there, and that maybe was what McMullen was waiting for. Going to try and hold the momentum around the outside. Gilliam, though, cuts him off and comes back across the course, but McMullen's going to have a little bit more overspeed. Andrew Gilliam defends hard to the inside, not going to give him a car's width on the inside there, and he locks up into turn number 1, and McMullen's going to push him up the hill. There's a little bit of a rub there as these guys are battling very hard for position number 5, and looked like McMullen, a little bit of a lock up there, and his car was on 3 wheels, lifting that right rear off the ground as he came into turn 3 there. Great racing action from those 2 guys there, as Brett Loxton continued to fight on with Jack Boyd, and Boyd consistently under pressure from Preston, but Boyd's got a bit of a run here. Brett Loxton's going to have to defend round the outside. Jack, can you do it? He's going to have to go deep on the brakes.
Loxton back in.
He's kept in it, and he's going to go through. Jack just cut across there, and Corey Preston's lost out big time to that as well. And Corey's got Chris Coxhead just behind him. Let's not forget, and the director, Jay Kennedy, doesn't forget, because he's straight there before I can say anything. And McLeod as well, as they go side by side to Jack Boyd and Brett Loxton. They're almost going to go 3 wide just behind them as well. In the pack up the front, it's Loxton down the inside, Boyd round the outside. Great move, and Corey Preston is going to get through. No, he's actually just going to hold that position, but Coxhead looking very, very spicy, as is Mitchell McLeod just behind him. And Corey Preston's going to have to force Loxton into another defensive move. And that's some great driving there. Mitchell McLeod out of nowhere. These guys are putting it on. Mitchell McLeod doesn't get it in the end. He's going to go for an over-under once again. Corey Preston on the inside. Loxton a little bit of contact as they come into the S's section. And it all sorts itself out. You can't go 2x2 through there. So it ends up Preston, Loxton, Coxhead, McLeod. And that is some great racing. McMullen and Gilliam up the front of the field as well. Still not done.
There's no words for it. It's just purely good racing. And look who's coming into this in the background, Michael Taliancic. We're going to have a 5-car battle for the top 10 effectively.
Yeah, well, Corey Preston's currently sitting in 9th, and Jack Boyd has managed to just squeeze out a tiny bit of an advantage, and with just 2 laps to go, that might be enough for him. But Corey Preston definitely has the...
McLeod down the inside!
Hold on here, and McLeod, oh my goodness! And a bit of a hip and shoulder there after getting massively sideways, and unfortunately, I think for Brett Loxton, that's going to be a slowdown. And Michael Taliantic out of nowhere as well has gone down the inside of Chris Coxhead, and he's going to have to push him down the front straight and try and get by down the inside at turn number 1. And another battle, is that Mario Vlasic, who we haven't seen all race, finally coming to light and getting past Loxton, as Loxton's just had an awful last couple of laps. And Michael Taliantic a little bit deep there, and but still very much in this battle for the top 10.
Yeah, it's absolutely still on for that top 10. I mean, there's only about 2 laps to go as Costa has been DQ'd and Jackson Susan Harlow as well. So drama there, and Harlow was second in the championship at this point. So that's going to be a massive hit for him in the championship fight.
Yeah, that is tragic. We've basically had first and second in this championship have absolutely awful races. Marlon McMullen, Mr. 2 times, a couple of Mr. 2 times. But he is one of them, and he's not able to get past Andrew Gilliam. He's been putting on an absolutely stellar performance so far and working his way up to 5th from 14th position. And Marlon has worked his way up to 6th from 12th. So these guys are 2 men on a move and fighting it out for the final position. Their top 5 a little bit wide on the exit there for Gilliam. But it's on for the lead. Or maybe they're just doing a formation finish. Hopefully. It's just... well, Dane Warren's had to go 4 seconds on the last lap slower. So we will see if this is a race or if this is just a formation finish. First time out for both of those guys together as teammates on track in the iRacing official V8 Supercar series. So they might want to be finishing off in style. And these 2 men probably also want to finish it off in style. But Jack Boyd, I'm sure, is wanting to finishing off a little faster than Corey Preston, because Corey still has a little bit of time to get that move done. He's only got a couple of corners left though, and Jack Boyd has not failed the traction test. He put it down nicely, but these guys... Logitech G Altus Esports, first time these guys teammates on the iRacing Monday night strength of field, and Dane Warren will win it from Sam Blacklock as they come across the line in a formation finish. Brady Myers comes home for TTL Esports in 3rd, and Ethan Warren coming home in 4th. 43 cars for Altus Esports in the top 5. Corey Preston's gonna go. Oh, there's contact as they come into the bridge, and there's more. Who's got it? Boyd runs into the wall, and it's unfortunately not worth his efforts, because not only has he lost out to Corey Preston, I think he might have actually lost out to Mitchell McLeod. Oh no, he did hold off from McLeod just, but it was very, very tough for all those guys there. And bit of a crazy finish to this race. My voice is absolutely skewed at the moment because of all the action that has been going on in the last 10 or 20 minutes. But the man on screen, Dane Warren, is a happy man. He walks away tonight a winner, and he will step tomorrow into a Formula 4 car at Winton Motor Raceway, where he will get some good seat time thanks to the Confederation of Australian Motorsport there. Tonight, though, he walks away the winner alongside his teammate for position number 2, Sam Blacklock, making it a Logitech G Altus Esports 1-2. Brady Myers for TTL Esports comes home very closely behind those guys in 3rd position, just 2 seconds behind. Ethan Warren, a nice job from the young man there to come home in 4th position. And Andrew Gilliam for Pursuit Sim Racing manages to hold off a valiant fight there from Marlon McMullen, came home in 6th. Michael Cracknell, a man who saw a lot of battling this evening and managed to actually salvage a couple of positions and work his way back up into 7th. Corey Preston doing a great job in the last couple of laps, all with a bit of argy-bargy to come home in 8th. In 9th, it was Mitchell McLeod who did a great job. It was Jack Boyd who had a valiant fight and threw his car across the line to try and save it from Corey, but came home in 9th. And Mitchell McLeod fought from 18th position up into a top 10.
11th position goes to Chris Coxhead from 16th on the grid. 12th to Mario Vasic, who came all the way from 25th on the grid. A great drive there. 30th goes to Brett Loxton, followed by Michael Taliancic in 14th. 15th and 16th, Greg Sharp and Thomas Hins. Brian Borg 17th. 18th goes to Cooper Webster, and then rounding out the field, top 20, Zach Baker and Andrew Zackerson.
Yes, and then we had Ernesto Romero, who was the final gentleman to join us on the lead lap this evening. People who did not make it to the end, or not on the lead lap at least. Kyle Stokes, Jackson Suslin-Harlow, and Ian Ford, who got a feel for Ian Ford. That was a very tough race for him after starting off so strongly and looking like he could challenge for the lead of this race. Definitely took an element out of that, I'm sure. Very exciting race this evening. Glad that all of you could join us for this race this evening. There is plenty more action coming up on the iRacing Esports Network and on SimSpeed TV. On Wednesday, we have the Wednesday night Rallycross series, as well as the Alpine Star Geodesic Racing Sprint Series Australia GTE cars. Will have a sprint round consisting of two 20-minute races at Road America. And very tight championship there with some fantastic drivers as well. So the racing is going to be great there. Thursday as well, we have the Formula 3 Championship, Cam, which is going to be another really good race.
Yeah, hopefully it will be. It's at Balao, so going to be one of the trickier rounds, but we'll see what happens. It's looking relatively close in the championship, so should be a good round if there's not too much carnage.
Yeah, and Belle Isle carnage is always the word on everyone's mind. But then on Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, it's the race that a lot of people have been waiting for a long time. V8 Scops returns on the iRacing Esports Network. It's a 250-kilometer race from Montreal. They're going to have the biggest names in the V8 sim racing community. It's going to be an absolutely massive season. I know a lot of people are really hyped up for this, and with a lot of different drivers moving around to different teams, it's just going to throw everything up in the air that much more. But from us here at SimSpeed TV on the iRacing Esports Network, we do thank you so much for joining us for round number 10 here at Road Atlanta for the Aussie Driver Search iRacing V8 Supercar Official Series. My name is Zach Hanlon. Thank you to Cameron Dance for joining me in the commentary booth, and Jay Kennedy for bringing us all the beautiful pictures that we have seen this evening. Glad that we could show you a great race this evening, and until next time, I hope you're well.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Six very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go.
Oh no.
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?